Good day, bookworms and bookwormettes. It's your boy, or just a boy, Vinny. If you ever, I read a book and I finished it yesterday. I wanted to do a review in under 5 minutes, as close as I can. So I'm gonna try and be quick. Ready, set, go. So the book is Dopamine Nation by Anna Lemke, MD. So she's a pro. Um, the general information of the book. So that's the title, author. It was published in 2021, so it's a very new, recent book. I started reading it in October of 2022, so it had been out for just about a year. It is $28 US and $37 Canadian. It is 234 pages reading wise, and then it is 291 pages total. At the end, it has a notes page. It has a index. So the index and notes page are helpful. Has a few other things in the back, but those are the two main things that I'm going to keep track of. The index is very helpful because you're able to look at words and then go back to certain sections. So I always like that. My overall impression, like I said, October of 2022 was when I started reading it. I got it from the library, so I didn't purchase it, but I wanted to take notes. And so I took tons and tons and tons of notes, as you'll see there, because I wanted to be able to remember it and not just highlight it, but actually be able to have somewhere to go and search rather than just try and find it in a 290 plus page book. Because of that and all the note taking, I couldn't really read it in my bed. I wanted to use my phone, stuff like that. And so it took me a long time to work on it, to read it and finish it. And I also wasn't making it a priority. So it took me from October until July of 2023 to finish it. So it took me a good amount of time. It kind of depends on you on how much you want to read it. But I do advise that you take notes. There's a few diagrams in the first half of the book that break it down, kind of help explain the psychology a little bit better, the brain stuff going on, neurotransmitters, dopamine, stuff like that. And then there's a few other scientific terms, so it's a little bit tough to understand. I had to look up a few things, but it wasn't terrible. She tried to keep it as simple as possible. I will say throughout the book, she used clients that were, obviously they were aware of it. She let them know, and she has a note in the back as well about what she said to make sure they understood what she was going to say, all that stuff that could happen. So throughout the whole book, she used clients that she interacted with. As a psychiatrist, she had clients. And so she was able to use those stories and the interactions that she had with them to kind of apply real life stories, real life examples of various addictions. She used the word dopamine as an acronym to talk about overconsumption, which is pretty much the entirety of the book. Which the acronym stands for data, objectives for using, abstinence, mindfulness, insight, next steps, and experiments. She expressed ways that we can work on lessening our addictions, pretty much of any sort. And on page 144, she said, unlike pressing on the pleasure side, the dopamine that comes from pain is indirect and potentially more enduring. So that was one of the things that she talked about in terms of trying to change our addiction in some regard to like making it less of a problem in our lives. Most of the quotes, I took a lot of notes, and so these were some of the quotes that I thought were interesting. Page 41, boredom is not just boring, it can also be terrifying. It forces us to come face to face with bigger questions of meaning and purpose. But boredom is also an opportunity for discovery and invention. It creates the space necessary for a new thought to form, without which we're endlessly reacting to stimuli around us, rather than allowing ourselves to be within our lived experience. I'm not going to make 5 minutes. Page 133. According to the 2011 data from the National Health Interview Survey of the CDC's National Center for Health Statistics, 75% of American children between the ages of 6 and 17 took a prescribed medication for emotional and behavioral difficulties, end quote. Poor children were most likely to take psychiatric medications than those not living in poverty. And then it goes into a few other disparities and differences in terms of socioeconomic differences between, she said that opioids are prescribed disproportionately more for the poor, I believe. Yeah. In short, page 162, in short, running wheels are a drug. Page 176, radical honesty, telling the truth about things large and small, especially when doing so exposes our foibles. Our foibles and entails consequences. It's essential not just to recovery from addiction, but for all of us trying to live a more balanced life in our reward saturated ecosystem. It works on many levels. First, radical honesty promotes awareness of our actions. Second, it fosters intimate human connections. Third, it leads to a truthful autobiography, which holds us accountable not just to our present, but also to our future selves. Further, telling the truth is contagious, and it might even prevent the development of future addiction. Page 186 to 187, it says, even when people have been victimized, if the narrative never moves beyond victimhood, it's difficult for healing to occur. I thought that was very interesting. Page 233, pretty much the conclusion. I urge you to find a way to immerse yourself fully in the life that you've been given, to stop running from whatever you're trying to escape, and instead to stop and turn and face whatever it is. Then I dare you to walk toward it. In this way, the world may reveal itself to you as something magical and awe-inspiring that does not require escape. Instead, the world may become something worth paying attention to. The rewards of finding and maintaining balance are neither immediate nor permanent. They require patience and maintenance. We must be willing to move forward despite being uncertain of what lies ahead. We must have faith that actions today that seem to have no impact in the present moment are in fact accumulating in a positive direction, which will be revealed to us only at some unknown time in the future. Healthy practices happen day by day. Lastly, I would recommend this, but I did want to add one little caveat that I would recommend it for young adults up. I think it might be a little bit too complicated or too difficult for young teenagers to grasp and understand or find interesting to read all the way through. There is a pretty much a basic summary of the whole book at the glossary on like 234 or something like that, somewhere in here. And so that kind of gives the basis, but I don't want to spoil that. So if you really wanted to, you could go back to the very end and take a picture of the basics of what she recommends throughout the whole book, what she was talking about. But it was very interesting. I think it's pressing for what's going on in our current world and what it's become. And so I would recommend it for you and potential other people that are interested in learning about like the mental chemistry and other addictions in their life.